Hi there, fourth grade. Welcome back. So we are going to be talking about science now. Science is one of my favorite topics because I love to discover new things. We are going to be talking for the next 2 weeks about the water cycle. There's many interesting things about the water cycle, and I'm super excited for you to do the project for week 6. Now, for the project for week 6, we're going to be doing weather in a cup, and I will do a video to show you guys. But you will need 2 preferably clear plastic cups, blue food coloring, shaving cream, and it just needs to be just, a small little travel size bottle of shaving cream, and water. And that's it. I'm super excited to do this project with you guys because doing a project about the water cycle really helps to understand what's going on with the water cycle. But for this week, we are going to be reading 2 different passages and answering some questions about the passages. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And we are going to read today, heat, cool, rain, repeat. This is the first text that we're going to be reading. Now, this reading is paired with a second text, which you will read tomorrow. Where do you go, H2O? And then after that, on Thursday, you will have questions to answer. So, each of these questions will need to be answered, and you can refer back to the 2 stories from Tuesday and Wednesday when answering these questions. So as I always say, when we want to be active readers, we need to first understand what we're looking for as we read. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly read the questions before we get started on the first text. Then when we do our second text in the next video, I'll read the questions again. So some of the questions may be about both texts. Some of the questions may be about the first one, some about the second one. But just so we can be thinking about these questions in our minds as we're reading our stories. So the first question that it's going to ask us on Thursday is which detail from text 2, so the second story, where do you go, H2O, best supports the inference that even though the earth has a way of recycling water, people need to be responsible. The second question we need to think about is going to be about the passage that we're going to be reading today. What does the title heat, cool, rain, repeat reveal or show? Reveal and show are synonyms about the water cycle. The third question is, what is a central or main idea of the text? Where do you go, H2O? So what is that one mostly about? Number 4 is matching. How are the ideas in heat, cool, rain, repeat related to each other? Match the cause with the effect. So the effects are going to be over here. And we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to put the number 1, 2, 3, or 4 next to the effect that matches the cause, or next to the cause that matches the effect. So a lot of times we mix these up, cause and effect. So a cause is why something happens, and the effect is what happens because of it. So I want you to think about that as you're going through and matching these up. Think about what happened as the effect, and then why it happened as the cause. So think about that as you're going through it. Question number 5, there are 2 different parts. Part A, what does the word reside mean as it's used in paragraph 3 of heat, cool, rain, repeat? Again, that's the story, the passage that we're going to be reading today. So we're going to be looking at paragraph 3, thinking about what it means when it uses the word reside. And hopefully it'll give us some context clues to help us figure that out. Part B says which words from paragraph 3 provide a clue for the answer. So again, I just mentioned talking about context clues. They're telling us there are context clues in paragraph 3 that help us figure out what that word means, but they want us to figure out what those context clues are. Question number 6 is the title of the pie chart in text 2, so the second story, is Distribution of Earth's Water. Using the bar graphs and the information from text 2, what does the word distribution mean? So we're going to be looking for context clues on what the word distribution means. Then, question 7 has 2 parts. Part A, use the information learned from the text, where do you go H2O, and the pie chart. How much water on Earth is currently drinkable? That is the key. They don't want all the water on Earth. They only want the water that is currently drinkable. And part B, explain how you use the chart and the information to come up with an answer. This is a written response, so you need to use complete sentences. What clues from the chart and the information did you have to help you figure out the answer? So that is going to be your text citations. Looking at question number 8 says, after reading both heat, cool, rain, repeat, and where do you go H2O, both authors would most likely agree. So you're going to put yourself in the shoes of the author who wrote these texts, and you're going to figure out what they would agree on. So there's got to be something in the text that helps us understand the author's point of view and figuring out what this author thinks versus what this author thinks, what they wouldn't agree on, and then what they would agree on. And we're looking for what they would agree on. So those are the questions. So we're going to read the first text today, and then you'll have another video for the second text, and I'll go over the questions again when we get there. So heat, cool, rain, repeat. Follow along with me. Notice this is non-fiction text, and it has each paragraph labeled on the side for you. And if you remember from our questions, it specifically asks about paragraph 3. So I would definitely take a pen or a pencil and I would circle paragraph 3 because that's going to be important in our questions. Let's go ahead and get started on reading. Follow along with me. We always read the header or title and then we start reading the passage. Heat, cool, rain, repeat. Text 1. Our amazing planet has a vast number of elements that it possesses. Some elements have been discovered and some are still a mystery. The elements that the Earth has to share are already here, meaning that the Earth cannot go element shopping at a local store. The Earth is an excellent role model for its inhabitants by participating in recycling. Since there is a limit to the amount of each element found on Earth, it recycles its elements to be used over and over again. And remember, when you are able to do something over and over again, and it does not run out, then it probably means it is renewable. Looking at paragraph 2. Since the Earth recycles its elements, all the water that was ever on our planet is still on our planet. Take a moment to think about the amazing idea you just read. When I first heard this statement, I wanted to challenge it. I may know what you're thinking. What about the rain? Doesn't that give the Earth new water? And we'll notice a spelling error here. They misspelled the word new. Wrong way to use that word. But That's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. But think about this. They're telling us that every amount of water that was on our planet is still on our planet in one form or another. So how does that actually happen? Let's look at paragraph 3. Actually, the Earth's entire water supply has always been here, including the rain. Confused? From oceans to lakes, rivers to glaciers, great amounts of water reside on our planet. These are the great storage areas where water particles in the air begin. How does this amazing change happen? The Earth recycles each drop of water through a process known as the water cycle. Much of the water you see has gone through the water cycle billions of times. All the water on Earth is in some stage of the water cycle. The water is either on the path of storage, evaporation, condensation, precipitation, percolation, or runoff. Looking at paragraph 4. Anywhere that you see large masses of water is in the storage stage of the water cycle. All the ice frozen in glaciers and the water in oceans, lakes, rivers, and underground aquifers are part of the stage. Then evaporation happens. Because of heat from the sun, a little water from the Earth's storage bins turns into invisible vapor. The invisible has that as water molecules, if Miss Fallon can read today. The invisible has I think that they didn't word this sentence correctly. It has water molecules in it that rises into the air. So invisible vapor, evaporation. You have a storage of water like a lake. The heat heats the water up, just like on a pan on a stove of water. When it starts to boil, it heats it up and it turns it into vapor. Let's go ahead and look at paragraph 5. Condensation plays an enormous role in the water cycle. The air far up in the sky can be very cold. When the warm air that contains the invisible water droplets enters the cool air, it condenses and forms clouds. As the water droplets party together in the clouds, they get larger and become too heavy to be held by the air. Paragraph 6. I would wager that you are predicting what happens next. Precipitation, or as we call it, rain. The heavy water droplets fall to the ground. Where does the water go? Some of the water gets soaked up by the ground in a process called percolation. When the ground becomes soaked with water, it runs into streams, lakes, rivers, and the oceans. This is called runoff. Then the cycle starts all over again. So just like when we were talking about in previous weeks, the life cycle of animals and plants, it's a constantly evolving circle. It's always going through some stage. The water cycle is exactly the same. It's a big circle. The water is always going through one stage of the water cycle. So that's the text for the first text of this week. And tomorrow we'll be reading Where Do You Go, H2O. So hopefully you like this topic. I like this topic and I love our project coming up next week. I'm super excited about it. But if you guys have any questions, message me, email me, whatever you need. That's what I'm here for, is to help you answer those questions. Another thing that we like to do is watch videos by Mystery Doug. Doug is a guy who does videos for us about science, and he is located over in California. So he has access to the Pacific Ocean because that's on that side of the United States. Now, we have access to the Atlantic Ocean because we are on the east coast of the United States. So I am going to include in the details of this YouTube video a link for you guys to watch a Mystery Doug video about why the ocean is salty. And the link will look something like this. So it'll have a link, and when you click on it, it should pull up this. Why is the ocean salty? I hope you guys enjoy this video because we love Mystery Doug and all the different questions that get asked and answered about science. It helps make science a little bit more interesting than just reading it from a book. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow with the second text for this week for science.